Welcome to all grade 9s to our first term 2 2020 online mathematics class. In this lesson, we are going to do some revision of algebraic expressions covered in grade 8. The prior knowledge we expect each pupil to have include knowledge of numbers, operations and relations, number patterns, functions, exponential laws, fractions, and decimal fractions. Learning outcomes. So the objectives of this lesson will be, by the end of this revision lesson, you should be able to demonstrate knowledge of the following. Number one, you should be able to show understanding of an algebraic expression, the parts of an algebraic expression, variable term, constant, parts of a term, and polynomials. So here you see these are actually the definitions that we will be using, and you need to know when to use them and use them in a proper manner. Two, you should be able to distinguish between like terms and unlike terms. You should be able to multiply two monomials. You should be able to simplify a monomial raised to a further power. You should be able to divide two monomials. And 6, you should be able to divide a polynomial with a monomial. So now we want to find out what is an algebraic expression. So you see that an algebraic expression is an expression which uses a combination of numbers and letters instead of only numbers. You know that when you were in primary school, you only were working with numbers, and when you come to high school, that's when you started seeing this algebraic expression where you use a combination of numbers and letters, and these numbers and letters are associated by multiplication, addition, or the operations which we learned of integers. And then also, like I said, when you were in primary, you used to use numbers only and the multiplication signs, and this one we call it the arithmetic expression. And the arithmetic expression, you can see we've got those two expressions, the algebraic expression with a combination of letters, and we have below there an example of an arithmetic expression which has only got numbers. Right, so now we want to move on to look at the next question, which is, what are the parts of an algebraic expression? So we're going to break it down. So we'll start by looking at the two main components of an algebraic expression. So an algebraic expression has two main parts: the variable terms, so this can be one or many, and we have got a constant. So this is usually only one unless you are asked to simplify. So we can say an algebraic expression is made up of variable terms and a constant. What is a constant? Let's first look at this simple building block of an algebraic expression. So a constant, this is a number in the algebraic expression that does not change. So it can be a number, it can be 1, it can be a -2, it can be a 10, it can be 100. We call it a constant. This number does not change. And then the next, right, now we want to look at a term. So what is a term? So a term in algebraic expression is a combination of numbers and letters involving multiplication and division, which means these numbers and letters associated together, or their relationship, will be multiplication or division. You can see the example given there. A can be a term in an algebraic expression if they are separated by a plus or a minus. And here we've got -2b. -2b can be a term, and you can see that the relationship between the -2, the b, and the c is multiplication. So all of them in all make up a term. And then we've got 3c all over 2. It can also be a term where we have got 3 and c associated with multiplication, and then also related to the 2 there through division. So we call that a term. So terms are separated by addition or subtraction signs in an algebraic expression. So if we take those terms, you can see we've got a minus 2b times c plus 3c all over 2 plus open brackets 3c to the power 5 plus 6b close bracket. So this algebraic expression is made up of 4 terms. Which are these 4 terms? We have got a, it's one term standing by on its own, and then we've got negative 2bc. You can see that 2b and c are related between them by multiplication. And then we've got 3c all over 2. That is a term on its own. And then we also know that, or we must know that when terms are placed inside brackets, the entire expression is treated as one term. Like you see there, 3c to the power 5 plus 6b are put in a bracket, one bracket, which makes them one term when we are dealing with algebra. Right. Now, we are going to be looking at the building blocks of a term itself. Remember, a term is part of an algebraic expression, so we are going to break the term itself, right? So, looking at the term which we are given here, we are going to work with this one and we break it down into its respective components. So, the first one is the x. So, the letter which you find in a term, we call it an unknown or a variable. So, the variable or unknown is a letter in the term that can vary in value depending on what investigation you are looking at or whatever experiment you are doing. Because remember, with mathematics, most of us will be scientists. Moving on, a 5. The 5 there in that term, we call it a coefficient. So the coefficient in this case, it's a positive 5. So our coefficient, we say it's a plus 5. It's a positive value. If it was negative, the negative will be visible right there. So the coefficient in this case is a 5, which is a whole number. But that does not mean that all coefficients are going to be whole numbers. Coefficients can be a fraction. It can even be a surd. Or in the scenario which we will see next, it can be alphanumeric. Right. 7 is the exponent of the variable, and this exponent is also positive. So exponents can be negative or positive, but in this case which we are looking at right now, we've got the exponent which is a positive value. The exponent represents the number of times the variable multiplies itself. Right. Let's look at another scenario where we've got a different term altogether. We've got a term which is 5xy. We can see that in this particular term, we've got two variables. So as we have two variables, we can break down the components. Also, you can be asked a question like, can you tell us what is the coefficient of x? Can you determine the coefficient of y? So I expect you to pause the slideshow now and try to figure out what is the coefficient of x or what is the coefficient of y. Now, I hope you get it right. The coefficient of x is an alphanumeric value 5y. Remember previously we said that the coefficient was a numeric value. So now if we have got a numerical value and a letter, we call it an alphanumeric value. So the coefficient of y next is 5x. So we can safely conclude that the coefficient can either be numeric, which involves integers, fractions, decimal fractions, and surds also. And also it can be alphanumeric, depending on a given scenario. Alphanumeric means a combination of a numerical value and a letter.